This week, a tale of two countries. It's difficult to know what to say about Nigeria. The country is unraveling before our very eyes. 175 million people. It's the most populous nation in Africa. And yet, in northern Nigeria, the carnage and slaughter engineered by Boko Haram is absolutely devastating. You know, it's been going on since 2009. Thousands and thousands of people killed and thousands abducted in episodic spasms of violence from that day to this. In 2013, Boko Haram was declared a terrorist organization by the United States, not that it meant anything. And then, of course, more than 9 months ago now, the 276 girls were abducted. And the federal government of Nigeria did absolutely nothing, and the international community has done nothing, and they are probably lost forever. And then, almost coincident with the murder of 17 people in Paris, there was the murder of up to 2,000 people in northern Nigeria by Boko Haram. You didn't see the leaders of the world locked arms walking down the main street of the capital of Abuja in Nigeria, did you? It's only now that the international community is talking about a multinational force to subdue Boko Haram as we're trying to subdue ISIS. What is it that makes Africans so expendable? Well, it's because it's Africa, and they're black. And let no one pretend that racism doesn't figure in to the paucity of the international response. And then there's Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, where a blogger of very moderate views has been sentenced for sedition, 1,000 lashes to be administered over 20 weeks, 50 lashes a week. As it happens, his wife and children live in Canada, have been granted asylum, so you would be expecting the government of Canada to intervene vigorously on his behalf. But Canada's in the midst of negotiating a $15 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia, and therefore you're not going to get some serious human rights intervention. But here's the rub. Saudi Arabia is a member of the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva. Saudi Arabia has ratified the Convention Against Torture and all other forms of cruel and inhuman and degrading punishment. And not a single other country at the Human Rights Council will call Saudi Arabia to account. It's really disgusting. But that's not all. Last week, the senior religious figure in Saudi Arabia said, get this, that he would not permit the age of marriage to be raised to 15. To be raised to 15. So you can marry at any age in Saudi Arabia now, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old girls. That misogynistic country oppressing girls and women. Saudi Arabia sits on the executive board of the United Nations International Agency for Women, UN Women. They bought their way onto the board with a contribution of $1 million. Sometimes what happens in the UN and at the UN makes you heartsick. That was last week. I'm Stephen Lewis.